What up, everyone? Time to start the boxes of October. I'm finally caught up. I worked my ass off and tried to catch up with videos, and I finally did. But I actually did it earlier than I needed to. Something you should know about me and my channel, I'm like the last person to get the boxes every month. For example, today is the 20th, and I just started getting boxes. I got like 4 of them yesterday, but it's the 20th of October, and it's like I'm just now getting them. So it may seem like I'm behind, but I'm doing them as quickly as I can because for some reason the boxes just don't get to me. I think a lot of them are shipped from like the East Coast and things like that, so they get to me last. So no big deal, but this is when I get them, so this is when I'm starting. Anyway, we've got Comic-Con box. So this is usually the first one of the month, so let's see what we got. First off, we got a shirt. So it is a crossover. Let's take a look. So a crossover between The Nightmare Before Christmas and Batman. So, something to point out about the shirt right away. I do like the quality of the shirt. It's actually kind of soft, and they always use concert tee, which I kind of like. They're pretty nice shirts. They're somewhat fitted, and they're pretty soft. They're not like hard and rough like the heavy cotton, so I like that at least. The actual design on the shirt, the print of it, is kind of weird. So, as per usual, we usually always get crossovers, but the thing about it is sometimes they're good and sometimes they're bad. People have a hard time like finding the appropriate spot for like an appropriate crossover. So this one is okay. Like, I love Nightmare Before Christmas. I think it's fantastic. You've seen some of my figures that I have in the background, and I love Batman too. But you got to think like, why are these getting crossed over? Like, a crossover needs to have some kind of a meaning or some kind of a funny joke behind it or something like that. But this one, it just seems like it's there just to be there. And it also says on the bottom, The Nightmare Before Comic-Con, which I'm assuming is just because it's in Comic-Con box, but shouldn't it have been The Nightmare Before Batman, or like maybe The Nightmare Before The Dark Knight or something like that to incorporate Batman back in? So this one just seems very forced. It just seems like they hired someone to make a crossover and they just like literally spun a wheel, picked 2 genres, and then put them together. I can't really imagine this having like too much in common. Like, there's very subtle things it has in common, but not enough to merit a whole crossover. So it just seems very forced. And it's a little bit awkward looking. The design on some of the characters is pretty rough. If you saw like down here on the bottom, like it just looks kind of sketch. Like, things aren't super proportionate. I don't really mind this whole Harley Quinn Sally they did here, but Oogie and Oogie's boys, like, they're kind of weird down there. I don't know, it just seems very forced. So, as far as a rating on this shirt, I'm going to give it a 5.5 out of 10, because it is, like, a nice quality t-shirt, but the print just seems a little awkward and kind of forced. So I can't imagine this being super popular. I know people would recognize it and get the crossover, because the franchises are both very popular, but I don't know, it just seems a little too forced, and the art style of it wasn't super great, so really not their best. And they've had good t-shirts. They've been pretty good about it, but not their best, so I'm not super thrilled about that. But it happens. They can't all be great. Moving on. Next, we got a Mopey's plush. And look at this. We got a little tiny Zero, and he is absolutely adorable. Look at this little bastard. So they announced that they were going to put a Nightmare Before Christmas Mopey's in there, and I was pretty excited about that because I really like this series. The funny thing is, this is the first time one of these has ever shown up in a box, which I find kind of weird. I really like the style of the Mopey's. I think they did a really good job, and they're from Funko, so I'm not sure why they have never shown up in a box before. I thought they'd be like, you know, obviously not as popular as pop figures, but still pretty popular. All the ones they've done look really nice. They have a lot of series out. They've done X-Men and Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy, and they've done some DC stuff, Nightmare Before Christmas, but not a single one has shown up in a box. Like I've always said before, I always tell people, like, don't buy Funko products unless it's exclusive, because it's going to show up in a box, but these haven't. So I thought that's very strange. People usually go insane to just cram it full of Funko, but these haven't shown up. Anyway, I really like this figure. I thought they did a good job, and I like this series, so I think that's a very good choice. Good. Next, we got a Batman keychain. Now, this is one of the light-up keychains, and this is the one where you press the button and it actually shows the emblem of the bat signal. Now, there's no way you're going to be able to see, it's too bright in here, but trust me, it's the bat signal. So, it's just a cool light keychain. So yeah, sure, why not? I like keychains, and I like lights. That'll do. Next, we got a zombie mask. So, basically this is for Halloween. A lot of the boxes of October are going to have a very similar theme, and it's usually going to be like Nightmare or something like that. Seems to be the common theme. So, this is not like super high quality or anything. This is just kind of a spandex-like cloth mask. You can see like half of it there. So yeah, not super detailed or anything, but just like a little cloth mask. Nothing super special, this is just kind of filler, but that works. Alrighty, moving on. We got a Blu-ray DVD. And we got Sharknado. Now I haven't actually checked this out, but I've heard really good things about it. They're in the process of making the third one, I think. So it's like a really popular like cult franchise. And I actually have the DVD, and I've been meaning to watch it because I heard it's pretty good. But yeah, I think it's cool. I think this is a good choice that a lot of people would enjoy. It's kind of like a horror comedy kind of thing. So I think it's a good choice. And I'm glad they put a Blu-ray in there. Not a big difference or anything, but it's just nice to see they're putting a little bit more quality in there. So I honestly think most people would enjoy this movie, if not just for like the comedy sake of it. So I thought that was a pretty good choice. Then I got a reaction figure. And this is from The Crow. I'm pretty sure everyone got this figure. Now this series, on the other hand, I'm not super thrilled about. Also from Funko, but the whole reaction series, I don't think it's very popular, and I personally don't really like it. I'm not a huge fan of action figures. I like them, but I usually like things that aren't opposable, like stationary. And also, the whole style of the reaction figures, they're trying to make it look retro. They're trying to make it look like the old school, like 70s action figures, but they do that all the time, and I don't really think that's appropriate because as time goes on, things progress, action figures get more detailed and cooler and things like that, and they're kind of going back to this old style of simplistic action figures, but it just is not simplistic in a nice way. It's just, I don't know, they just don't come across well. They're not very detailed. They're just very straightforward. They all have straight arms. They all kind of look the same. They're just of different characters. So quality-wise, I'm not a fan of reaction figures at all, and I don't think a lot of people are. So I don't think it's a very popular series. And on top of that, this is one of the things that Funko just doesn't put a lot of effort into. The paint job's always like not super nice. The sculpt's not super great. So it just kind of seems like something they do that doesn't cost them a lot of money to do. So they're like, why not? But the quality's never great. Perfect example is mine came with the card completely detached. It just wasn't really on there, and I think the glue didn't really hold, which just shows that like Funko is just not putting a ton of effort into this. So, and I was not surprised at all like that happened. So, we got a reaction figure of The Crow, and again, it's very specific. So, I don't think that was the best choice. Nothing against The Crow, nothing against Funko. It's just it just kind of seems like too specific and not a very popular series. So, no big deal, but it is what it is. Then, we got a comic. So this is another exclusive cover, and it's also a reprint. So this is the second time they've done this. This is the Brave and the Bold, and this is the Suicide Squad version. So they've done this somewhat recently. They're reprinting very well-known famous comics. This is number 25, and this is the first appearance of the Suicide Squad. So it's a pretty well-known issue, and it's going to be very relevant because the new movie's coming out. And they did this last month with the Harley Quinn issue, so I think it's a good call. It's cool because it's cool to see classic comics because not many people have them, and the ones that do, you're not usually reading them because you're trying to keep them in good condition. So it's cool to see like actual reprinted comics, but now it's worth something because it has a new cover and it's an exclusive cover. Because like I said last month, the reprints are usually worth like shit. They're usually worth absolutely nothing. But when they do it like this and they put like an exclusive cover, it actually makes it worth a little bit of money. So I think that's kind of cool. It's always nice to have exclusive comics, and I think it's cool that it's a reprint. So I think that was a good choice. Then, moving on. We got our prints. So it seems like kind of their thing to put in two different prints of different similar styles. So the first one is our classic Rob Pryor print. And this is a tribute to Wes Craven, who has recently passed away. So he did a little tribute to that. Something you'll notice, they didn't put their goddamn logo on the bottom. Like, I was blown away that they actually didn't do it. Now, I'm not sure if this is just out of respect to Wes Craven, or if they finally started listening to people and stopped putting their logo. Either way, I'm glad it's gone. I hope it's gone forever, but who knows. But I can't believe it's taken this long for them to stop doing that. Like, it was such a terrible thing to do to artwork, and it would have been disrespectful to Wes Craven, so I hope that's permanently gone. So, Rob Pryor is an airbrush artist, and he did a fantastic job in this. He really did a nice job, and they always printed on nice cardstock, so I thought that was very nice. He always does a nice job. The second one, can't remember the artist off the top of my head. What was it? Jerry, I don't know how to pronounce it. Pesci, something like that. Anyway, this is a crossover print of, obviously, The Shining and The Muppets. So, much like the shirt, this one seems a little bit forced. Like, this has been like an ongoing joke that's been done about 10 billion times of The Shining, but they just put someone else's head there, so it's been done a billion times. So the actual content of the print, not the best. The artwork quality of it is decent. It's not super great either. They did okay on the coloring. The line work's a little bit off, so really not their best print. I'm not a big fan of this. And something else I noticed they did last month too, on the sides. You see these big red bars here on the side? So they did this last month with the Wonder Woman one. They had big white bars on the side. Basically, they're printing it on the same cardstock as their other print, but they keep printing them of different sizes, and they don't trim it. They don't crop it at all. So you end up with these big bars on the side. It's not white this time, but it's red, and it's just like bars on the side and not on the top and bottom. So it's not a border. It's just something they didn't crop, and it just shows like cheap quality there. So I don't know why they can't either resize it to the appropriate size, get different size cardstock, or just crop it. It just kind of seems like laziness on their part, and I'm not a fan of that. I wasn't a huge fan of the print anyway, but it just seems weird to have two bars on the side. That's just weird. That's almost as bad as the logo on there. So I think that's weird. It seems kind of cheap on their end, but not a big deal. It wasn't that great of a print. Anyway, so, and then we got one more thing. Where'd it go? It's not really an item, but this was more of an advertisement for Superwoman, which is coming to CBS. And it was plastered all over the box, so I think they're doing endorsement deals, and I think that's how they're getting some of their funding, which, you know, that's fine. Like, if that means we get better quality items, then I guess it's not that big of a deal. I'm assuming some people got signed ones, I would assume, because it's just kind of a blank advertisement. It's on its own card. So I would assume it's in there for signing purposes, and a few select people got a signed one. I don't know that for sure. I haven't confirmed that. I'm just assuming that. But I just thought I'd point it out because maybe someone out there was lucky enough to get one. So that was all the items in the box. Let's run back through it and talk about some value. First, the t-shirt. This will get the standard $12 to $15 value. And like I said, rating was a 5.5. Kind of an awkward crossover. Seemed a little bit forced. But that's just me. Then, our little Mobius figure. So I thought this was a very good choice, but these are very common. Not hard at all to get, but they're around $10. I haven't seen them in stores that much. I think they have been selling pretty well from what I can tell. So you can get them online, but again, they're around $10. Maybe a little more or less, give or take $1. Then, the reaction figure. I don't think this is a super great choice. I don't think this appeals to everyone. But these run $8 or $9 depending on where you go. I'm pretty sure they sell them at Target for like $8. So not super high in quality, not valuable, and I don't think there really are any that are super valuable. And I don't think it's a big collector's thing as of right now. So then, our mask. So it's a pretty cheap mask, but it's still useful, and it's like actually cloth and not like plastic or anything. So I'm going to give this like $5 or $6. It actually comes in a nice little package, and if I saw this in a store, I think someone could easily charge $5 or $6 for it. So I think that's a fair price. Then, the DVD. This is going to be around $10. Like, because it's a Blu-ray, it goes for a little bit more, but not much more. I'm sure you could find it online at various places for maybe a little more, maybe a little less, but A Target would probably sell it for $10, maybe a little cheaper, so around $10 for the Blu-ray. But I thought that was a pretty good choice. Then, our little light keychain. This will get $5 or $6 because it has a little Batman logo and it is a pretty nice keychain. So, and it comes in a nice package, so I could see this going for at least $5 or $6, no problem. Then our prints. So, like I always say, they're not signed or numbered, so there's nothing rare about them. They're still cool. I still like that they put them on nice cardstock, like printer quality, and they have a nice gloss to it. And they usually pretty good artists, so I'm happy with their overall ideals for prints. But as per usual, since there's nothing rare about them, these are only worth what it would cost to print them, which is like $3 or $4 a piece. Then the comic. So, the Comic-Con box comics actually sell for a pretty decent amount. So this one has been selling for like around $15 to $20. So I'm going to give it around a $15 to $20 range. You might be able to find it a little bit cheaper, but most of the listings online that I've seen are like $30 and up. And I'm just realizing that maybe I was wrong. It wasn't Comic-Con box that did the reprint. I think that was Geek Fuel. So just realizing I may have misspoke on the box it came from. But either way, the whole concept of reprinting and doing an exclusive cover is a good idea. So I may have just gotten the box wrong. But either way, the whole concept of it is good. And they have a pretty high resale value. So around $15 to $20 for a value on that. So that brings our value on the low end of 68 and on the high end of 84. So pretty good on value. Even on the low end, you got like 50% more than you paid for. On the high end, if you take into consideration the full resale value of some of the rarer items, you're going to get like pretty much double your value, which is a really good deal. So I thought this was a decent box. I like the rare comic. I like the Mopies figure. But a lot of the other stuff wasn't great. I wasn't a fan of the t-shirt choice. The reaction figure was just okay, and then some of the items were just subpar. So I'm going to put this at a 7.5 because it was definitely good, definitely got more than you paid for, but as far as like quality and like good stuff in the box, it was about half and half. Like some of it was really good, there's some okay, and there's some not so great. So it kind of evened out there, but you got really decent value and you got a good amount of stuff. So 7.5 I think is fair. But let me know what you guys thought of the box, and yeah, happy to be in the month of October. We've got a lot of exciting boxes coming up. We've got a bunch of new boxes this month, so it's going to be a pretty big month. So things are going to start rolling pretty quickly now that they've started coming. Each day there's probably going to be 2 or 3 more boxes, so hopefully I don't get behind. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Let me know what you guys thought of the box and the score, and see you on the next video. Love you all. Peace.